So I'm going to start by focusing on memory. And I think most of you will know that memory is an important thing to develop as a student because you will have to reproduce information. But it's also important for you later in your career because many careers that you might go into are going to use some of the knowledge that you learned in college. And if it isn't in your memory, it'll be harder for you to access it and apply it to your work environment. You want to make available the handout strategies to improve memory and retention, which is available under the week 4 module in Canvas. I suggest printing it out because you are going to want that to answer some of the questions on the midterm exam. So having it handy maybe make that easier for you. So we're actually going to start with a game so you can really feel what it's like to use certain memory techniques. Have your handout ready to go, but don't read it yet because your first attempt is going to be without any memory techniques. So I'm going to show you an image of 20 different items. And you're going to want to have your phone out or some other kind of timing device, and you want to put a timer on for 2 minutes. You're not going to write any of these items down. You're just going to look at them and try and memorize them. Then when the 2 minutes are up, you can go ahead and jot down as many items as you can remember. And then go ahead and count them and just see what your total is. Then you're going to take out the handout and you're going to read it. So the strategies to improve memory and retention, you'll pick a technique that you think will work for you, and you're going to use it for your second round. So on the second try, you're going to do it again, still 2 minutes, still no writing down anything, and then just get as many as you can. And then I want you to compare your results. Did you do better with the memory technique? Which technique did you use? You may even want to try this again and do another technique, although it will be the second time you're seeing it, so you might get more. But you can kind of find what techniques work for you. But basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that it's really difficult to just memorize things by looking at them. But if you use certain connections through these techniques, it can really help you. Start your 2-minute timer now, and when it's over, write down everything you can remember. Start your second 2-minute timer now and use the memory technique you chose to memorize these items. When the 2 minutes are over, write them down. Compare your results. See if you did better with the memory technique. I'm going to guess most of you did. So I'm guessing most of you noticed that you did much better on the second round after you used the technique. And this is a practical demonstration of a lot of work that's been done around memory. So this is an example of a study where they actually tested students on applying memorization approaches. And so they had some students actually just practice memorizing things. So they just spent time practicing memorization without any particular approaches or techniques. They just stared at things and tried to memorize them. And then others learned techniques like the ones on your handout to try and remember things. And then the rest, the third group, just did nothing. So they had no practice and no techniques. So they tested the students, and the group that had learned the techniques did much better than the other two groups. And the students who practiced, even though they did it over and over again trying to memorize things, really did about the same as those who did not even do anything at all. So what this shows is that you don't get better at memorizing things just by doing it more and looking at it more and just trying to memorize. You actually get better by learning tricks to help you. So these little tricks are extremely helpful for you in preparing for things like exams or just remembering general formulas or information that you want to be able to recall later. So think about how these techniques that you've learned from the handout might apply to different situations in your education. Some approaches may work better in certain classes or for certain types of learning than others. So why don't you just take a few minutes to look at the list of techniques and maybe jot down some notes about when you might use these so that you're ready to do so later when it does actually come up. So these are three really great TED Talks on memory. Two of the gentlemen in the TED Talks are actually considered memory athletes because they can memorize things so well. And the other gentleman is a business communications expert. And they all have slightly different approaches to memorizing information, but I think they are really enlightening and interesting, and it's worth it just to see them memorize a ton of information. So I would suggest watching these to help supplement the handout with these memory techniques.